Have you ever had goals and things that you're working on, projects that just get stalled and you cannot figure out why you are not making progress or not taking the action in this moment to work on it? You know you have the motivation, but you're just not moving forward. And these are things that we love. 9 times out of 10, we're just stalled. That's what we're going to talk about today and how we can maybe approach it differently and hit our goals. So, welcome. This is Best Self. If you could do me a favor, obviously share and subscribe. Share this with anyone you think could give value. We're going to dive into some important topics. We try to put together a discussion and we write these up and just try to help each other. So, on this episode of Our Best Self, we are focusing on making progress on large goals that we own. And I think the nuance here is important because so often we will always make whatever work we are doing happen, right? So if we're at the office and say, hey, can you get this to me by noon or by 1 or by 4? You're like, sure, I can do that. And the more common is, hey, can you make a call at this time? And you're like, well, I was supposed to be at the doctor's office, but yeah, we'll make that all. I can adjust. And so we prioritize completing the tasks of the work and from those that ask for it. And that is awesome, right? Like we are prioritizing what we feel is important and we're getting it done. But we're doing it at the cost of other things. And while that's a whole rabbit hole we can talk about, I want to focus on why that is not so in our personal lives. So I have friends that are writing movie scripts. I have friends that are making businesses, people finishing a dissertation for their PhD, or simply setting up joint ventures or building things around the house. All of these are personally chosen goals, meaning that we're on a journey, we want to achieve it. I'm going to classes and I want to have my PhD. I am making a product at night and selling it, on weekends at farmers markets. Great. But all of those require our energy and our ability to hit these goals. And there are moments where when we're in this journey where we definitely get stalled, and it's definitely hard, right? Because in order to achieve goals, it requires time and effort and definitely sacrifice because you're choosing working on the thing that you care about most and whatever alternative you had at the moment. But as we are moving forward, we're going to get knocked down. We're going to get delays. We're going to have moments where we're moving smoothly, and then all of a sudden the world decides to give us a lot of challenge and opportunities to work through. And that's okay. But in that journey, we build skill, maturity, muscle, self-awareness, and honestly stamina to reach our goal. And one thing that we don't always respect is when we're trying to do something great, launch a business, create a brand, build a hospital in Rwanda, whatever it is, it takes all of those attributes, skills, maturity, muscle, self-awareness, stamina, to not to actually just hit the goal, but to sustain the goal once you get there. Because as we grow and we build and we do these things, they require new skill sets than we already have. Otherwise, we wouldn't make that goal because we would have that. So respect in the journey that there's going to be challenges. There's going to be things we need to work through, but all of those are building us up so that we are capable and able to thrive, not just hitting the goal, but continuing on in that goal. And there's a lot of benefits to that. It's not easy. It's definitely hard, but it allows us to move forward. So why do you not finish your goals? Why are you not achieving your dream? Is it because you don't want it? Perhaps, maybe. You got to reset that. Maybe your dream is to walk on the moon. That's awesome. But that is an extreme goal that maybe there's some scientific things that are still in the way for us, right? But if your goals are on Earth, Maybe you want to be a pilot, a space astronaut. And those would work too these days. But if you're looking at your goals and you're like, that's a big goal and it is achievable. And how do we know it's achievable? Because somebody else has done it in the history of the world. And if they haven't, maybe not just the way you want to, well, you're going to be that person. So always have faith and honor your goals. But in order to achieve our goals, we need to work towards it. And one thing I find very interesting is when we set goals that are our excuse me, when we set goals that are our own, we introduce, unfortunately, a bit of flexibility. We say, this week I'm going to write a paper, or this week I'm going to call 100 people to make these sales. And on Monday, you'll be like, well, I've got all these things going on. I'll work on it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and you sit down to work on it or make the calls, and you're like, well, I need to do a little more research. And then Wednesday happens, and then Thursday happens. And by Friday, now you're like, well, there's no way I can write a paper in a week. And there's no way, because I only have 3 days left, I can't make 100 sales calls today. So we'll move it to Monday. And what is happening here is not a lack of motivation and not a lack of ability. You have them both. It is a lack of absolute commitment to your deadlines. And it is because you picked them, right? You set the date. So you believe, well, I can move the date. And that's disrespecting you. If you have been thoughtful about your goal and the journey it needs to take to do it, and you set a target for today, and that target for today was to do whatever, maybe it was to run 1 mile, right? You find and make the time for it. Like you put it on your calendar and you do it in that time. The best effort, best version you can do in the time that you've given yourself. And if work wants to call and take that time, you be like, no, I can meet after or before. And if the kids are needing your desperate attention, great. Take care of the kids, but then get this done. You have to respect your goal and yourself. And if you set a commitment on a task that you know is reasonable to get done in the time you gave yourself to do it, you must hold your attention and your commitment to yourself to getting it done. And the reason is we want to chip away at these goals. These deadlines that we set for ourselves are massively important because in order for us to move toward the finish line, and by the way, finish lines are a bit arbitrary, in order to move towards the finish line of achieving our goal, we have to chip away daily, if not twice a day or 4 times a day, depending on your goal. And it's okay that it takes time to do it. When we think about this goal setting and the journey to get to this target, that milestone, it has a whole bunch of little deadlines from between here and there. And that's awesome. And you need to embrace that. But if you want to truly hit milestones and accomplish and then gain momentum, you need to do this one thing. You need to add finish lines or milestones throughout. And you cannot change it until you've achieved it. Meaning that when you're pursuing a goal, set a deadline daily to work towards it and define the finish line in the near term. The goal is the long-term one, right? That might take longer to get there. But the finish line has to be absolute. And you don't get to change it. Meaning that once you hit it, you can celebrate for a moment, yes, cheers, and then set a new target, a new finish line to move towards. The fallacy here is that I see a lot of people get extremely demotivated because they'll work daily towards their goal and they've set a finish line, but they change the finish line before they get there. So they're working hard day in and day out, but they never get the reward, the dopamine. You did it, the celebration, even if it's just a minor victory, right? Like we finally got our permit to do the business, or we finally got the stickers, or we finally got our first customer delivery. Those are huge milestones, and you cannot change it. You cannot be like, well, we did that, we're moving on. No. You must recognize the achievement of your finish lines and your milestones as you work towards your goal. Because what happens is when you're in control, and it's just you in your head, you're battling you v you. You're in control, deadlines slip because they're not hard deadlines. You're not committing to any third party, you're committing to yourself. You have to set the tone that your commitments to yourself are absolute and there is no slipping. And the thing is when we look at our life and our day, if we are not holding our schedule, we guarantee no progress, right? The whole point of working day to day is to get to progress, is to get to movement. There is a bad side of this coin, right? If you decide to not hold the line to your commitments, you decide to not do the daily work, you start to doubt yourself because, well, I didn't get it done yesterday. How am I supposed to get it done today? And then that starts to stack and the negative self-talk starts to pick up, right? So the only way you stop that negative voice is you take the action today and begin anew. And then you're like, well, of course I can get it done tomorrow. I just got it done today too. So that is the other side of the coin, is that we need to be executing and getting our goals done, hitting our finish lines, and hitting our targets that we've committed to ourselves to do. It's a huge way of preventing that negative self-talk. Finally, how do we apply this concept of hard lines, deadlines in our daily, weekly lives? Like how do we do this? Well, here's some tips that I have found very beneficial to myself and others have shared with me that I thought were absolutely amazing. First off, we need to break down what is needed today that is most important for our goal today. Your list obviously has a million things on it. Everybody's does. But what is one thing today that moves the needle, the whole venture, the whole program, the whole project forward? Maybe somebody's waiting on something for you. You could work on that right now, hand it to them, and now they're working in parallel to you. That's a great benefit to you because now you're working in parallel. You're getting some scale. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you just got to chip away. Like you got to make the outline before you write the book, right? Maybe you got to define the characters before you put them in a situation. All of these have a priority and a prioritization. Second to that, don't get buried in the analysis paralysis, right? Once you decide this is most important, great, get it done. Too often I see, myself included at times, where my analysis is longer than the actual work it would have taken to do the things I was trying to decide between. You don't want to get there. Set hard deadlines, right? Actually put a deadline down. This will be done by the end of the day. I've made commitments to myself like that, and I found myself at 11:10, 11:15 p.m. going for a ruck in the rain, in the dark, because I said I would do it. And I knew I was going to get it done, and I made my day. I adjusted. I had a whole bunch of things pop up that some were great and some were negative. But in my head, I knew, I was like, no matter what, I'm getting out there by 11:15. And I did. And it was awesome and hard, and I felt great when I hit that pillow. When you're looking at your goals and your deadlines, you have zero flexibility. The goal doesn't change. Just because the weather changes or things get hard, there's zero flexibility. There are no other alternate times we're going to do it. We're going to get it done now. Now, because sometimes these things are giant, and especially if you have delayed a little bit, they start to swell, right? They start to get very immense in size. We know we're not going to be able to tackle the entire thing at once. That's impossible. So piecemeal it. Chip away. Set chips and efforts towards reducing the monstrosity that your project is. That's it. You want to write a book? Maybe write the title first. Write an abstract. Write 4 sentences about it. Then write some headers, right? Like there's chips away you can do where you're not feeling overwhelmed that, oh, I'm not going to get the book done tonight. I can promise you right now you are not going to get the book done tonight. But you can get pieces of it so that you accumulate the momentum and the content to hit your goal. So you want to set a time, dollar, and effort boundary. This is super important. Let's say you want to start a company. and you've been working on it for 2 years, hypothetically. Now, at some point, you got to say, look, I've been working on this 2 years and we're still at $0, and we've only sold, maybe 30, 40 pieces of our product. Okay, well, how do we set a boundary to say, like, we're going to stop and we're going to move forward? Well, what I did is I said, you have 6 months and $2,000, which is a lot of money. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to give ourselves this much time a week of my effort, plus whatever we can do with that money. And that money went towards hard costs. It went towards relationships. It went towards from stickers to, paying people, contractors, all that stuff. All of that came into play. But by setting time, dollar, and effort boundaries, it allows you to be like, look, I'm going to get it done or I'm not. And whatever I get done in that window, that defines the next step. Now, if you set a dollar boundary and you go through all your dollars and you hit the deadline on the time and you're like, all right, how did we do? If there's nothing there, great. You did your best effort and you're done. And now you can move to something else. You can use all those lessons in something else, but whatever you're working on, that clearly was not executed, even with the extra dollars, effort, and time. That's okay. We all can pick up and move. I like this also for anything that I'm doing. I am going to work on this book for an hour. That's it. I'm going to do my best effort for an hour. And I'm going to do it every day for 6 months, and then we're done. We're going to then convert it into something that people can have. The reason is that when you get ownership of the art and you start playing with your baby, if you will, you are never done. It's never perfect. The art is never done. The painting is never done. The movie script is never done. The label is never done. At some point, you have to hit the print button. And that's what I'm encouraging. By setting these boundaries, it allows you to have that. This achieving good enough with our best effort and then keep moving. Because you want momentum. You need forward progress. That is how you will get to the best version you can do. Trying to achieve the final perfect version today or an immediate time frame is generally not appreciated in the market and mostly not needed. People want your best effort, and I don't think people would appreciate the art any less if you gave us the version you made this week versus 6 months from now. And the shame of it is, I know a lot of great people that create a lot of incredible art and amazing products, but they never ship. They never release it. And the reason is let's say you're an artist, what you make today is the best you've made today. But in a week, if I say, hey, give me the one from 7 days ago, you're like, no, that's terrible. I mean, look what I just did today. Like, this is way better than 7 days ago. And that's always the truth. The problem is that for me to appreciate it, I need to actually have it. And if you've never released it, I don't benefit as a customer, and the world doesn't benefit as an impact on humanity. So always remember that. Finally, you gotta be realistic and support yourself. Start early in the day. Jump on your day and get these things done. But be realistic. Don't set something that's going to take 12 hours to do and give yourself one morning to do it. Set reasonable goals. I have had a few very ambitious ones that I was like, wow, you were ambitious when you wrote these. It happens to all of us. But try to dial them in so they're precise and give the progress and momentum that we want. A little tactical. I like setting a timer. I like taking a device, putting a timer on it, and just working. I find that it's very helpful to me. Another hack is have a good cup of coffee. Yes. It is the greatest secret to your achievement is to have a good cup of coffee by your side. Early in the day, not late in the night. But something that just is, you don't want things that are really distracting you. Like, you want to eat your meals away from your work, get to your work, and just go at it, right? Try to get yourself in a flow. Finally, you need to let everyone know how important this hour is to you. Like, talk to people about what you were doing in the time that you were taking to do it. Too often people oh, I'm going to go work on this, and they don't tell anybody about it. And they want to know, and you want them to respect it. but you haven't told them what you're doing or why. So really let everybody know what you're doing. And that really comes down to something on the last point I want to expand on for you, because it has to do with your circle and the people in your life. You want to surround yourself with people that support your execution of your goals, doing the work. You don't want people around you that are there to enjoy the material things or the consumption things or just the distractions of life that you can partake in. You want to surround yourself with people that are supportive of the actions you are taking, meaning that I don't want people to celebrate that I am going to open a coffee shop or going to create this hospital. I want people to celebrate that I got the thing today done that I was trying to get done. I called 20 customers today and we were able to raise $150. That's awesome. Good job. Versus probably in a year from now, I'm going to open a hospital. Oh, congrats on opening a hospital. No. I haven't opened the hospital yet. Don't celebrate that. Right? You have to see the framing. We want people that are going to support us, that'll lift us up, help make us better, and help us drive on the actions that lead to the outcomes and goals, right? We want support on the actions, the work, not the future state, potential, revenue or social impact or any of that stuff. We don't want support for that. We want support for the now. And it's interesting, when you share what you are working on right now, on making your product, your business, your passions grow and evolve, suddenly the people around you are not just supportive once you get the right people around you, but they start giving you the resources to do what you want to do today. Meaning they'll be like, they might bring you customers. Say, oh, I was talking to my company. They definitely want coffee. How do I get you in there? Like, here, you just got to fill this form out, and then we'll buy, 5 pounds a week. By sharing the work that you're doing, you're also respecting the other person so that they can be a part of that journey. Because I promise you, the next day, they're going to say, how did that go? And you're going to say very proudly, it was hard, but we got it done. And I even sold one thing yesterday. And they're going to be like, that is amazing. What is your plan today? And you're going to tell them the plan for the day, how you're going to achieve your goal. Now, if you're trying to run for a marathon, what's the plan today? I'm going to run a half mile today. I'm going to do 3 of those, 2 in the morning and 1 at night while the kids are still asleep or doing their homework. That is awesome. And the next day, how you feeling? Oh, I feel a little sore, but I'm going to do this today so I can be even better tomorrow. You pull people in, you get the support of the right humans, and your goals are going to be a blast to work towards. So, in conclusion, if you want to hit your goals and you're stuck in a slump or you just feel like you can't overcome the day's challenge, number 1, chip it away. Number 2, set hard dates and times that you will respect and that you recognize that they don't move. Finally, set people around you that are going to celebrate the actions you are taking towards the goal now, not the future results or the outcomes, the things that you're working on today. Do these things and you will achieve your goal. You will have progress. You will have growth. Now, if your goal is absolutely wonderful and huge, great. You may hit 110% of it, but you maybe hit 95% of it. No matter what, you will have great progress and growth in the areas that you want. And isn't that what it's all about? Just getting better at things, finding our best version of ourselves. Have an amazing day. Share with anyone you feel like is stuck or just needs some advice on how to keep mushing forward. Give the people the support, right? If you have people that you know that are working towards goal, ask them what they're working on today towards their goal. Get a date on what they're trying to achieve. Follow up with them. Be that good person in their life that supports them to hit their goal, not just be there at the celebration. All right, guys, have an amazing day and go get those goals.